What's up, Alex?
What's going on, guys? Pretty excited about tonight's show, to tell you the truth.
I agree. Bob is an awesome dude, and he doesn't really need an introduction. He was nice enough to have me on his show way back when I first started my channel. I was very
Yep,
honored by that.
I got to
And
be on it too.
all around, just a good guy. So let's just bring him on.
Let's bring
And
on the knife junkie.
Bob, the knife junkie, DeMarco. How
Hey
are
guys,
you,
There
sir?
he
um,
is.
I'm doing great. That was a very nice intro. Thank you guys. Actually, Alex, you introduced me to Dirk
I think
Ah,
so.
yes.
way back when. So it's really cool to hang out with the two of you right here. And by the way, I like your background quite a bit. That steel thing is pretty cool.
Oh, this?
No, I'm talking about the background of the video here. That steel
Oh,
plating.
Oh,
the
yeah, the
plating
diamond
thing.
plate?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I have also been eyeing up your safe behind you. That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, it's a
That
big piece
is
of
the
steel.
knife box. Now he changed
That
his
is the
name,
knife
but
box.
used to be Alex's knife box, and well, that's the knife box.
Yeah.
That is the knife box. There's a lot of them in there.
The original knife box, if I remember correctly, was an ottoman table type thing, right?
It was. You remember that? Yeah, it was like it was like all black leather. It looked like kind of a more like a bench style thing you could put your feet up on, and then it had a lock and you could flip it open. But the knives got so heavy, the bottom gave out, and I had to get something made of steel. So there you go.
Brian, thanks for joining.
Mr. Kennedy, how's it going, man?
And Blame Dexter,
Boys,
Stacy,
Blaine Dexter. Well, that's a cool name. Stacy,
all
welcome
the
Oh, yeah, I
back
follow
as
Stacy.
always.
normal ones are here. so
She's
that's
like our
great.
mod. Yeah. we
She's your
love
what?
Yeah, she'll post some links up here and do some stuff
And
for
she's
us.
like our moderator.
Oh, that's cool.
I think she's pretty much almost everybody's moderator except for Bob, who has like
Right.
an official, like
Oh, man.
legit moderator and director.
I'm
and
so lucky to have
organizer.
him. I don't deserve Jim.
Oh, dude, Jim.
Just
is
like
the
I don't deserve
bomb.
my wife. I don't deserve Jim.
You know, I don't know your wife, but I'm gonna agree with you on that one probably because
And
Actually-
I also want to say hi to Mike E as well. Welcome back, buddy. He's
Mhm.
always around as well. We always
yeah, I
enjoy
think he
him
changed
from
his
Australia.
schedule, so he is not gonna be here. But
Well, yeah,
he
just,
commented and said he had to change his work
Oh,
schedule,
yeah.
so he wasn't gonna be able to watch. But
yeah,
that's all right.
We'll be with him in spirit. We got Mr. Satu Dave in the
Got you,
house.
Dave. What are you cooking though?
Dave.
You can't just leave us at that. You're cooking, but
Yeah, what are you
gotta-
making? What are you
gotta
making,
tell us what
Satu?
for dinner. We may end the show and I'll run over.
You're right.
I just wolfed down dinner and ran down here, and man, it was delicious. One of my favorites. This thing my wife makes called kidgery. It's like it's the good British food. No, I shouldn't say that.
Oh,
It
okay.
is a British standby comfort food. It's like rice and salmon, and it was very
Very
good.
nice. I like your background, Bob. I do miss the butt
Thank
cheeks.
The butt cheeks are right here.
Oh yeah, yeah. They were phenomenal, but there they
There you go.
are. Oh man, I remember that picture.
And that is not my grandmother. My grandpa painted it, and I was like, "Grandma, is that you?" No.
Yeah, she's not gonna admit to that.
I love that story. That was so good.
That's great.
And then he's got some like crazy. What we got back there, Bob? Show us some of those things you got back there.
I got something awesome and new coming too to join here, but this is I call it my wall of fame. It's got like my most valuable like historical examples of things. Here I have a real Fairbairn Sykes.
Wow.
I have a couple of Filipino blades, bringbacks from World War II, a very old saber from I think early 20th century U.S. Navy, and then over here same kind of stuff. But here, this is
Oh yeah, I was looking.
the
at
Big
that
Daddy.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My brother got this for me, and I can't believe he actually gave it to me because this is something we've talked about for years since we
Mhm.
poured over this weapons book. Oh man, one of these days. And he finally found one and he gave it to me. That's what a man my brother is. But
Wow.
it's
awesome.
Look at
it's
that.
got the spikes. Not all of them have the spikes, guys.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I love this thing. And it was made at a time before bovine growth hormone, so hands weren't as giant as they are today. So my hand fits perfectly in there, and I wear like medium-sized gloves. Sometimes I can even squeeze like small gloves on, but I shouldn't be admitting that online. But they fit. My hand fits really well in here, and so I feel like you could punch with it and not damage your hands.
What year is that from?
This is 1918.
Wow. Oh yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
That is badass. Speaking of your brother, do you have the gauntlet anywhere?
Yes. Do you want to see the gauntlet?
I want to see the gauntlet.
Yes, please.
All right.
Stand by. Oh my God. Everybody brace yourself because there's a story with this one. I had to ask him to bring it out. Oh my God.
Okay. So this is a practical bit of kit here for when someone besmirches your honor and calls you to a duel, you get to call the place. So you say it's going to be in a pit, and we're going to have a pit fighting duel. And this is what you put on.
Oh my God.
So this is an SKS bayonet with a chiseled tip, pretty nasty.
Okay.
And a triangular cross section, so very nasty. You got some spikes here just in case, and very like extremely stout leather, and then some spikes, and then a random piece of cowhide he thought would look like a bit of trophy, and then on the inside, nice wool shearling.
Oh, that's great.
Braided leather handle, and so yeah, this started off as a just a simple leather cuff. My brother was like, "I'm getting into leather making."
Oh, okay.
And I said, "Okay, Vic, can you make me just, like one of those cool leather cuffs that we wore in the 90s?"
Yeah.
And he's like, "Yeah, man, I can do that." And then he started, and he's like, "Well, the leather's a little stout. Should I add something?" I'm like, and so it ended up being a Conan the Barbarian pit fighting gauntlet. Yeah. So
Dude,
yeah, this is definitely
so cool.
Thank you. It is a prize of my collection,
That is, I think, my favorite piece of your entire collection as well. Like, talk about a real knife collector and enthusiast. I mean, goodness gracious.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I like it all. I really like all knives. I really do.
And that's what I love about you, Bob. That's why I've followed you for all these years. And man,
Thank you.
It's always fun to watch what you bring out.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, like I love fixed blades too, and I feel like fixed blades don't get as much attention these days. But
I agree. And I've been doing some fixed blades lately, and I've got one in here that I need to film and stuff still. Let me go here bigger, and
that's what she said.
Oh my God!
So yes.
Oh, what is this?
So this is from a company I didn't never heard of, Papa Bear Knives. Maybe you guys have heard of them. I don't know. And this is a crazy custom fixed blade, of course, with a Baker Forge twist Damascus blade.
Baker is in Dave Baker?
Yes.
Wow. No kidding.
And it's crazy. So this was, I have 6 of these. Not exactly this, but there's 6 from Papa Bear. And from looking at the boxes, I believe all 6, if not most of them, have some sort of Damascus blade from Baker Forge.
Whoa.
I don't think it's Bob Baker. I think it's Baker Forge, like the guys who make the copper
with
stuff.
The copper. Yeah.
Oh.
So it's Baker Forge and Tool, I think is what they're called.
Which is awesome, by the way. I love that copper patina Sanmai they're making. It is nuts.
The copper Sanmai on the Odin custom that I just did the other day was crazy.
So good.
A little too much copper for me, but it was pretty awesome.
Dirk, do you have that Odin around you? I remember seeing it, but I don't remember which one it was.
I already shipped it back to the owner. So I don't have it with me. But it was pretty freaking cool. I'm not going to lie.
So how did you come into 6 of these?
So my Mike, who can't watch here from Australia, sent them over from Papa Bear. Like they came from the maker straight to me. And I'm going to film them and do my thing with them and then put them in a box with, I think there's about 20 knives I've got to send down to Australia.
Wow. That'll be a cheap box.
It might be easier to just buy a plane ticket
No kidding.
and put them in my suitcase and be gone for a couple of days, because makes me nervous shipping 20-ish knives to some foreign country.
Not just to some foreign country, but Australia has kind of lost it a little bit. No offense if anyone's listening.
But he gets a lot in. He, he sent me an email with kind of a list of how to do it.
Okay.
Box them this way, list them this way, like all this stuff. And none of them are cheap. They're all like, there's a few productions, but there's a lot of customs, folders, and fixed plate. Like it's not a $100 box to lose.
Yeah, it's like unreplaceable, priceless stuff.
Yeah, so that's going to be interesting, but that's okay. That's what I do, so it's all good.
I really like the GL Hansen and Son bolster on that with the blue and the green and the man, it is just very beautiful, and it looks really nice next to the Damascus. And usually I don't like those kind of patterns, too many patterns. Yeah.
And if you look, I don't know how well it's going to show up here, but the lanyard tube is like a mosaic pin.
Yeah.
It's crazy. This is crazy. I mean, I got to set up my system like you and have like a knife camera that looks down and has a better view. But yeah, there's going to be some fun videos to do of these ones. So
yeah, speaking of fixed blades, I saw something crazy at CCKS today.
Oh,
I went, well, it's the Sunday wind down, right? Like I had to work yesterday, and then Friday nights was not an option because I'm a dad. And, but I went today to see, and I actually put a little, I got some footage. So I'm going to put a video together of all the footage I got. I interviewed a few people, but one of them was Momert Knives. He's a maker, Mark Momert. He's out of California, and he's been making knives for many years. Like I think about 5 or 6 years ago, I bought one of his fixed blades from Knife Center, and it's completely made of titanium, blade and all. And it's usually very Japanese influence, like this traditional upswept tanto. And he had and the tip is the edge is carbidized, so it's like around 72 HRC, so it's really strong stuff. But what was really interesting, when I pocket checked him, he pulled out the identical knife, but he did this weird like lasering blackening process where the thing was a piece of titanium that was black and mirrored. And then he took out his keys, and he's like, this is like, the surface of this is like 90 HRC. Takes his keys and he's like, and with like bare metal, right? And then he shows the knife, and it's like completely scratch free. It was some crazy witchcraft he did with some like crazy coatings. So that was really cool. That was interesting.
So does that mean essentially he's hardened it, like hardened the titanium, like more than carbidizing would, or
apparently?
It has something to do with the outer layer that gets applied from this type of lasering whatever process. It's like a coating of some sort, I believe. Right. It almost looks like Black Mirror DLC is what it had the appearance of. But yeah, he was saying the outer coating, and I'm sure on the video, because it was kind of loud and I was like walking around in there, I didn't catch all the details. I was trying to film everything, but I'm sure on the video, I try to ask everybody to explain everything as much as possible.
Right.
So I'm sure there'll be some cool details, but you'll see it. It's yeah, I was like, can you coat anything like that? Like it was pretty cool. And,
it's like it sounds like obsidian. I'm sorry, I interrupted.
Yeah.
It sounds like obsidian rock, the people use.
That is exactly kind of what it looks like. It's just a mirror piece of titanium, black DLC, kind of like obsidian, like that shine. It was pretty cool.
That's interesting.
Awesome.
So that
leads
leads
a lot of other people too that were really good too. So
that kind of leads into a good question. So you went to a knife show today, and my question always is, and my conundrum in going to knife shows is, what do you take to a knife? What do you carry when you go to a knife show? I'm not the guy who brings my backpack and 27 knives. Like I just don't do that when I go to a show. I may take 2 just because, depending. But what did you take to a show?
Well, that's funny you say that because I thought of that this morning. Like, as I was getting dressed, I'm like, and I know I'm going to see a few people I know there.
Right.
But the people that I'm going to see there are like sheer grow-off collectors and high-end collectors. So probably should bring a custom. And then I thought to myself, what better knife to bring, because Kurt American was going to be there, than bring my Phantom bolster lock with the Westinghouse. So I brought that.
Thing is so awesome.
I brought that thing with me, and I met up with Ian from CMF Metalworks. So him and I hung out. That was actually the first person I ran into. And, Ian's very, very tall.
Yeah.
So
he's hard to miss.
Stands out. Yeah. Like, wow. So I saw him. I talked to him for a little bit. He got to check it out, and I got to check out his full Carbo Quartz, San Mai, custom, whatever. Yeah. It was a Mistress R, I think is what it was. And after that, like, kind of moved around because I wanted to video like people and materials that people aren't familiar with, not just same old like people you see every year. So I didn't spend a whole lot of time there and do that. But typically I'll bring something really plain, believe it or not. And I didn't want to buy anything. I wasn't going to leave with anything. That was the plan. No purchases. But
how'd that work out for you?
It didn't.
I mean, I'm just gonna say, like, how'd that work?
I got this. I didn't buy a custom knife, right?
That's more like a party favor,
That's right.
But
don't
this
worry
thing,
about it.
I've wanted a Malibu for quite a while. I just wanted kind of like a cool one, so I got
that's
the
the operator. That's beautiful. Yeah. I need to get my hands on one of those.
I think that's cool.
They've gotten nothing but praise.
$80 discount for show price. Why not? It was justified. So, and then Volvo gave me a $300 bonus like last week for just whatever. So I was like, there you go. It's justified.
There you go.
Very nice.
Dirk,
therapeutic edge.
You inspired me, Dirk, in terms of my carry this year to Blade Show. Blade Show 2021 was my first year, and I was like, well, I'm going to meet so-and-so in person. I have to have this knife on me. And so I packed like that, and it was crazy, but I was driving down. I felt fine about it.
Yeah.
This year I had to fly down. And so I took a page out of your book. I brought one Kubi knife, and it's one that I really like. But if it was nicked by the TSA, what am I going to do? I could replace it easily. So yeah, I directly from you to carry a Tonto. I think sometimes when you travel, like a Kubi Tonto. I was like, that's a good idea.
It's a great knife. It's over on that table.
Cool. Yeah, I brought a flash with me, and that was it.
I go back and forth on what to carry at a show. Like if I'm driving, I'm gonna I always take 3 or 4 knives when I go anywhere. Yeah. I flew to Hawaii and I took like 4. I took like 5, like high end stuff. A couple of Frank Fishers, a couple of like crazy stuff. This one was what I carried for the most part when I was in Hawaii. The smaller Frank Fisher battle that I have.
Jeez.
Because I bought this from my buddy Eric, who had taken it to Hawaii previously. So I figured, well, it's just going to be my Hawaii knife now.
That is a stunning knife. You don't need me to tell you that, but man.
Yeah. So when I go to a show, I don't know. Do I carry something fancy? Do I carry a Kubi? Do I take a Spyderco? It's a mental problem. And then, Alex, what did you wear as a watch?
I probably wore one of my favorites, actually. It's a Zodiac Super Sea Wolf. It's a limited edition one. And I love this watch. It's even got like a little bit of flex. You can see right here. If your wrist swells, it expands right at the
bottom. That's right.
Yeah, so love this watch. So most comfortable thing ever.
So Peter brings one knife per day. If he's going to a show for like 2 days, he brings at least 2 knives.
You're missing the at least part.
I like that. Actually, that's a good rule. I like
Peter,
that.
do you run back at lunch to the room and change? So you're actually carrying 2 per day? I don't know.
Well, he's acquiring
backpack.
Yeah, right. Well, he's getting knives along the way too.
He is picking knives up along the way. So So we'll go to you, Bob. What did you carry today in your travels about town or whatever you were doing?
I will tell you in 1 second, but I just have to ask before we move on from Alex's watch. That kind of band, is that a Jubilee band with the 5 links?
Yes,
Is
that
what
is
that's
a
called?
Jubilee
All right.
bracelet.
I have always loved that link setup, and I've never had a watch like that. And I had a Luminox that lost the band, and so I bought an aftermarket.
Yeah.
One of those Jubilee bands, and it just won't fit. It just won't fit. And I'm like, I'm never going to have a Jubilee band. It'll never happen for me. But anyway, let me move on. Today I carried the Manticore X.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
In recurve. I really like this thing a lot. I got it on right when it became legal to do so in Virginia, July 1st, 2022.
Nice.
Thank you,
Okay.
Doug Ritter. And it's got great action. It does have a little bit more rattle than my Microtex, top to bottom. Like if I'm playing Jason Bourne in my room, I can hear it rattle around a little bit. You know,
that's okay. You'll just have to upgrade to a deadlock.
I know.
It's an OT,
that's the obvious. That's the obvious.
I mean, I just solved your problem there. Get rid of that. Get yourself a deadlock. They're only about $1,000, $1,200. Call it good. And then you'll have there's no rattle.
There's no rattle.
There's no freaking rattle.
And that makes me feel more Bourne-like without the rattle. Actually, a good thing here is they got jimping. So you can put your thumb there and stop the rattle, but you still know you're stopping the rattle.
You still know that you're stopping.
If you're Jason Bourne, you're going to have to put your finger on there or else they're going to hear you coming.
You're exactly right. All that being said, I love this thing, and I'm not trying to diss
that's great.
Heretic. I just wonder if mine is a little louder, because when I was at Blade Show, I picked up a bunch of them, and I don't remember that. Then again, I wasn't doing this and rattling it so much, but I had that, and then I got one other thing I was carrying, but where the heck did I put it?
Everybody keep in mind, Bob's got a blade in the shower.
Oh yes, I've actually just switched it out. It used to be for years and years. It was the big plastic karambit from Cold Steel, and I swapped that out because I was thinking about the karambit and how much actual training it takes to be effective with it. And I was like, I haven't done karambit stuff in years, and I was never that good at it anyway. So I switched it out for a serrated ring dagger, where you just put your thumb through the ring and you power down on the guy who's attacking you in the shower.
And a karambit's probably not the right thing for the shower.
I think I originally
thought more
the
space to use the karambit, maybe.
And being that it's got a hook, you don't want to cut anything off that you don't intend to.
You could be.
This is
leave
true.
it to Alex to go there.
This is true. This is something that I got to worry about. I thought the ring was like, it'll maintain my grip, but no.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
That's the point of the ring. You won't cut anything unintendedly.
Oh God, the ring
of fire. All right, let's go.
This I will break my finger on a ring. I don't carry the rings anymore. I just don't feel confident with them anymore. This is a 1558 Revere. It's the Revere. Revere from. Thank you. Like I made it.
I like the.
Yeah, I like that. That's a good looking knife. And I'm not even a fixed blade guy-ish, but I'm kind of becoming one with as many as people are sending me lately.
Oh, that's nice.
So just by sheer repetitiveness, I'm starting to appreciate fixed blades more.
Right. It's like Stockholm syndrome.
It is kind of like that.
This thing I got, this is the one knife I got at Blade Show 2022, and I got it from Josh Fisher. Josh Fisher is the maker, and he's a master bladesmith. But this line of knives and a couple others are like what a lot of smiths do. They make water jet versions of some of their knives, so they're not forging all of their knives. And I believe that's what this is. I could be mistaken, but I believe that's what this is, because he had a bunch of them. And
that's cool, though.
Yeah, and they
Nothing
all look
wrong with that.
No. I think that's a great way to get custom work in your hands without going, full Monty.
Well, I mean, people got to understand too, like the part about that you're really paying for is going to be the part where like the hand grinding of the bevels, the finish work. Yeah. The main grinding part or cutting like the blank doesn't matter. I mean, not to me anyways. Like, yeah, okay, so like that one over there has been cut out with a bandsaw, and the other one's been cut out with a water jet. So what, you know? So
Yeah.
I think that's good because they can pump out way more knives and they can still
Yes.
put as much time as they want into it. One can be
Agreed.
definitely more well ground than the other. It's just the final product. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Totally.
And CPM says that Josh got his designation last year as Master Bladesmith, I'm assuming.
Very
and
nice.
then Al says Fisher and his daughter
Yes.
make some nice knives.
His daughter passed his like 13 or 14-year-old daughter passed her journeyman's test this blade show.
What?
And my buddy Matt Chase, who's almost 50, sorry Matt, who also got his Mastersmith or not Mastersmith, but his journeyman smith at this blade show, he said he was incredibly impressed by this young woman.
What have I been doing in my life?
Yeah, no, man, makes me feel the same way.
At 13, I can guarantee at 13 I had nothing to show for it.
Nothing. I mean, who does?
I had a bunch of scraped up knees and broken fingers and like fell off my bike a bunch of times, got scar on my head. Like, you know, that's what I had to show for being 13. Now you also had a knife or a watch that you were mentioning earlier.
Yeah. This I want to bring up with you guys. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm stepping on your words. I wanted to bring this up with you guys because you are consummate watch guys. And I know that you own some of the watches that I would love to own. And I am not in a stage in my life where I can go down the watch rabbit hole, but I would love to simultaneously go down the watch and pen rabbit hole and get expensive fountain pens because I do love fountain pens.
Okay.
And expensive watches.
Join the dark side. I say join the dark side.
Yeah, the watch thing, and there's a couple of watch folks in here.
But you know what though, like
maybe chime in also. Wow, Al says that his 18-year-old daughter is also a journeyman.
Wow,
congratulations, Al! You did something right.
That is pretty cool.
Well, I think he's talking about Josh's daughter.
Oh, well,
18-year-old and 13-year-old. So that is a family business there.
That is pretty amazing.
Professor's in the house.
Hey, Professor EDC.
All right, so let's talk about your watch.
So this is the watch. It's upside down. This is the Pagani.
Yeah,
and they call it an homage watch, an homage to the Air King, which is my favorite Rolex. I'd say I just love it. I love it. I think it is
Dirk,
beautiful.
You're
and
speaking
simple and
Dirk's
clean.
words.
Oh,
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it is a beautiful watch.
I like your Pagani better. You want to trade?
So yeah, it's hard to show here because of the reflection from the lights and all that. But
beautiful.
So I have the older Air King so mine does not have, mine just has a 5, not a 05 at the 5.
Right. Okay.
You know, the 5-minute marker.
Right.
And yeah, it's one of my favorite watches, not just because it's a Rolex. Like I could own the Rolex, that Rolex, as well as my deep black Planet Ocean, and probably just be happy with those 2 watches. Truth be told.
Okay.
And I should probably sell most everything else and just focus on that.
So here's my issue. Obviously, as a knife guy, I don't buy copies. I don't buy homage knives. I mean, that's a very clever term to use.
Yeah, so I was surprised when I saw your homage Air King.
Dude, I gotta say, this is my thought. This was my thinking. First of all, I watched a bunch of reviews about the movement. The movement is it's so far it's way more accurate than my 2 Seiko 5s, and I like my Seiko 5s. So it tells good time. All right, that's your baseline.
Okay.
I just know that I'm never gonna spend $10,000 on a watch, but at the same time, I just kind of want to have this in my possession to look at and wear and be careful about who I show it off to. You know, so I don't know. What are your feelings on this? Is this like buying a clone knife?
No.
Should I never be able to experience this? But only if I can afford and am willing to pay for a Rolex.
Well, I mean, there's a bunch of acceptable Seikos that are very popular and sought after that are homages of plenty of things. I mean, I gotta say, like the Rolexes are the things that are homaged the most. That one is pretty like that one in particular is pretty like fine line for me because it looks almost identical. Like I like homages where they take the inspiration, but then they do something else with it, right? Like, but I mean, to each his own, and I don't find it to be the same because usually like the price of the watch like that are homage or like things are very, very hard to get and very, very exclusive and very, very rare. And is it more acceptable? I think in the watch world it's more accepted than it is in the knife world, but there are hardcore collectors that will tell you differently. Absolutely 100%. So you know, I'm not pointing at anybody directly.
I'm gonna kind of go with my friend Craig, and thanks for chiming in, Craig. And Craig, you know, we've met in person, gone to events and stuff like that, so he's like really a friend. And he's kind of saying there's nothing wrong with trying an homage first, so it's kind of like a trial run to the real thing down the road. And I've seen that with some other people too. They get the homage to see, does it fit my like watches are a little different than a knife. The knife is gonna fit in your pocket.
Yeah.
Like it's gonna work. But you may try on a watch, you may love the look of it online, watch all the reviews, and you put it on your wrist, and it just doesn't fit. It doesn't work well.
Yeah.
There was a Panerai that a buddy lent me, Bobby Lay.
Those things are cool.
And I love the Panerai. I want a Panerai so bad. I want to love it because everything about it I love. I had it for like 2 or 3 weeks, wore it almost every day. I was going to get my money's worth out of this loan. And I came away and realized the 44 millimeter Panerai, that particular one on that particular strap, just didn't work for me. And it literally saved me money because a week later, Craig had the same one. He asked me if I wanted to buy it. And I said, nah, after borrowing, you know, Bobby's for a couple of weeks, I'm going to pass. So maybe it's good to try that and see it. If you really
yes. But to be 100% honest, Dirk, you're coming at this from someone who's already spent big bucks on watches and intends to do so without a doubt in the near future or currently, like we all buy knives that way. I am, in my experience, someone who buys a clone to check it out. If I really want to get a Strider, that's not how it works out. They don't then spend 100 times more to get the Strider. Thing. And I must be 100% honest. I am in that camp because I cannot foresee a future until my daughters are through school where I'm buying that watch unless I, you know, strike it big and find that briefcase full of cash that no one else is looking for. But Craig, I thought Craig was being pretty generous in saying that. I think I got to fess up and say I just like the look of it, and if
I love the look of it, it's quirky. The Rolex world, that's kind of an outcast-ish watch,
really,
because it's so goofy looking. But that's what drew it to me.
Why is it goofy looking? I think it's simple. I think it's stately. It's watch.
I love it.
You know, look up in the dictionary watch, and it's this.
Yeah, I love the Air King so much. It's great. And I think you're okay. I'm kind of torn. I don't really have I'm having a hard time coming up with a solid opinion.
Okay. All right. Well, I do know that when I'm around what I think are watch people, this is probably not the watch. Like if I went to a fancy dinner, I would much sooner put on my Seikos and then put this on and then be like worried that someone's going to look at it and think,
and here's Craig, you know, he's bought numerous homage watches before getting a real thing. Didn't want to spend the big money if he didn't like it.
Yeah.
Which I think is a fair statement.
What is the watch in Craig's avatar? Is that
that is the Omega World Timer.
God,
it's a beautiful watch. It's like, I've seen one in person. My local Omega dealer has gotten a couple, sold a couple to some friends of mine in Texas. It's a beautiful watch.
Man,
great watch.
Omegas are just
one over here.
They're beautiful. Alex, you started. I mean, your channel went from knives to knives and watches equally. I know it's safe to say you went down the watch rabbit hole, but
Well, here's the way
what
I
are you
look.
finding more compelling these days?
Here's what. So I know everybody says. So watch people always say. I'm sorry, knife people always say don't get into watches, and I completely disagree with that because
Here's a
just
close-up
like
look at that,
watches, you can, yeah, that thing is gorgeous.
My God.
Just like watches and knives, both of them alike, you can buy affordable watches and get into it. You can collect Casios, which I have tons of. You can collect Seikos, which are like 150 bucks if you get like a Seiko 5, and you can get all different variations and colors.
Yeah.
You can collect whatever you want. You don't have to get Omegas and Rolexes and this and that to get into the hobby. I've chosen to be like the person that, you know, like this watch was like about like 1,600 bucks. Like I kind of like to stick around maybe that area. It's a really nice high-end Swiss watch, automatic. It's great quality. It's not a Rolex, but I like stuff too that has a story. Like we all know like the Zodiac Killer, right? Like got all his inspiration from this brand watch, actually from the Super Seawolf. So like there's different little things. Yeah, actually, if
I have no idea.
If you look at the Zodiac logo, then it's kind of like the same thing he used to put on his letters. And it's that little cross with the circle around it. So like, yeah, that's true story.
Yeah.
So like, I like things with a story or something that's got like some sort of interesting significance, like the Doxa with Jacques Cousteau and things like that. But Rolex, Omegas, I was telling Dirk, I maybe want one day or maybe two when I decide to just unload a bunch of crap back there to do it.
That's how I got my first Rolex.
But I don't really feel
knives.
But then like also when I was telling Dirk is like when I just like knives, I like to step up like by step. I don't like to like always jump forward like 20 steps. I want to enjoy, like, that's why I started with Casios when I first kind of transitioned into watches. I'm like, what are people doing with these cool like $25 watches? I start modding them, changing the LCD colors, and have a Damascene steel case on one of them I did. Like, you know, like you can start playing around with that. And then after that, I was like, okay, like Seikos are fun. Like which ones are cool? The new GMT and orange and whatever else, right?
Yeah.
And then you can go crazy with Seiko. Like Dirk just got a Grand Seiko with that really interesting quartz movement. That's like 3 seconds off a year. There's a lot of really cool technological things. And what that Seiko's like a couple grand. So realistically, maybe a middle class working man could probably like save up and afford that at some point.
Yeah.
So to me, those are obtainable objects. Those are what I've kind of been after myself. Will I get crazy with stuff like $30,000 watch? Never. Maybe
don't say never.
No,
never.
I said
I was never going to spend more than $500 on a knife.
Yeah, I said that too. I said that too. I get it.
A little more than $500.
This is exactly why knife guys say don't get into watches. It's not that it's not that one cannot collect within a price range or any price range and find a lot of cool collectible stuff. It's that if you're going to collect the watches like you probably collect the knives, there will be a progressive
escalates quickly and progresses. Yes,
maybe. But if I had 30 grand in my pocket, you think I would buy a watch right now?
That's the thing.
That's not my personality.
That's I don't know. It's hard to say.
No, I'd be dumping it in my 96 Cobra right now. That's what I'd be doing.
Oh, sweet.
So like everybody's got their things. I'm not saying I wouldn't blow money, but I'll be right back. My daughter's going nuts. All right.
Okay.
Little cutie. I do have to say I probably would drop a $2,500. I've never spent that on a knife or a watch, but I would be much more likely to do it on a knife than a watch, and get way less use out of it, which is
right.
That is why I probably shouldn't touch the watches too much. But Craig brings up another point. It is a priorities issue, you know.
Yeah, it's whatever you're kind of into. And Craig also said up here a little bit, buy what you can afford. And I think that's great advice, or buy what you're comfortable with. And that goes for knives also.
Yes.
And it goes for bicycles and whatever your hobby is. Buy what you're comfortable with. And over time, whatever hobby you have been into, anybody in the comments knows this is true, it will just naturally escalate.
Yeah.
Whatever hobby you're into. You're buying TVs. You buy a bigger, more expensive TV the next time. Like it's just how life goes. You buy a shirt at Target and then you decide to buy one at the department store. Like that's just life.
Yeah.
But buy what you're comfortable with. That's the most important thing with knives, watches, pens, socks, whatever.
Yeah.
Did
yeah,
you see
and if
I
you do it over
you
and over, you get better at it. I'm sorry, what's that?
Dirk, did you see that thing I tagged you in that was donut themed today on Instagram?
Oh yeah, the AR mag.
The AR mag and
the shorts that she was wearing.
Yeah, donut theme.
Yes, and then my other buddy, who sold me this battle, tagged me in something else. A dude that he knows makes a chef knife, and it had a handle that was like donut themed. It was very cool.
I saw a modified car where they popped the hood, and underneath was donut theme painted. I swear to God.
Sorry, Craig. Not sorry.
Do you mean like the Dessert Warrior?
Yes.
Oh my God! So it's broken out of the knife world.
Oh God!
It's broken out of the knife world into the gun world, the car world.
Did it start in the knife world? Did it start at Blade HQ?
Yeah, it started there with the Dessert Warrior, and it just took off and has become a little over the top. Although that chef knife that my buddy tagged me in, I'm going to reach out to that maker. I think a chef knife with just the handle. It was classic. Cool. It was very classy. It was done really well.
Do you know who the maker was?
Off the top of my head, I don't remember. It's a guy that used to be in Utah, but he moved. He's on Instagram. I'll find it and post it somewhere. But it was cool looking. And he said he was playing around with it and made the one, and he may make some more. I may have him make me one. My son's a chef, so it might be fun to get one and send it to, not send it. My oldest son lives here in town, and just give him that, and he can use it at work. But kind of cool.
I saw that Super Steel Steve is making kitchen knives, and I almost bought one off of him online just on a whim because it was a decent price, and he had done a cut demo where he didn't actually put an edge on it, but it was ground so thin that he could, cut onions, and I was like, that's pretty cool. And but I didn't get it, and then I felt stupid. I should have just snatched it up. It was not that expensive, and I don't have any custom kitchen knives, but I just bought a new Filipino sword, so I need to take it easy.
He's like, I don't need a new chef's knife, but I did get a Filipino sword.
Yeah, right.
I have
the food will cut itself.
One of the Mattia Baroni, Mark Beggs partners. I have one of his production version.
Is that the kitchen Bowie? The one that's
the Chef Bowie.
Chef Bowie.
I've got one of those. I bought my son one. He loves it. He actually had it at work with him the other day, which was kind of cool. I sent me a picture of it. It's a great knife, and I'm not a big kitchen guy, but my girlfriend really likes it when she comes over to make something. She always pulls that one out of the box. So I bought her one for Christmas, I think last year. I gave it to her. So she's got her own at her house. She's got one over here. It's cool.
Very nice.
Oh boy, somebody now wants to see your Filipino sword. Is it around or no?
Oh, the sword hasn't gotten here yet, but it's
so new. It's not even here.
Yeah, it's from traditional Filipino weapons. The same people who have made a couple of the swords I have. Here's the dagger from the Sword and Dagger.
Oh my gosh.
These things are amazing. They're forged and they're made in the Philippines. I can't remember where. And this guy Ron Kazakowski, who's got a Kali and Jeet Kune Do school up in Connecticut. He forged a relationship with these people a long time ago, and he goes down there and gets these. And there's been a Taliban. The Taliban is a sword I've always wanted, and it's been out of stock for years, and it finally came in stock, and so I'm very excited. It should be here tomorrow. But it's got this. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
I have always wanted a samurai sword. And then I've looked at them and some prices to get real ones, and I don't want nothing against cold steel, but I don't want like a cold steel version samurai sword, right?
Yeah, you want something made in the traditional.
Something, not $10,000 sword, but a couple grand or whatever. And I'm like, oh man, I don't know. And then my buddy Chris, I was bantering back and forth with him. Alex and I and Chris have a group chat thing, and I mentioned something about, I want to get a samurai sword. 2 seconds later, here's a video from Chris of him and his samurai sword. He went and grabbed it off the wall.
I'm like, Chris from Texas?
Yes.
Yes.
Damn you, Chris. You got a freaking... Dude.
It's all about the Bowie knives.
Oh God, I couldn't agree with you more, man. Look at that. Is that a Bravo operator?
It is.
What is that?
It's a Bravo Survivor.
God, that's beautiful.
Yeah,
that's cool
I like this thing. Oh yeah, this thing is badass, and I've used it. I just had to send it back to get it refinished. It used to be all beat up and everything. They did a nice job.
That's cool.
I've had that for many, many years, and this is a first production run of theirs actually on this thing.
Is that green micarta?
No, it is actually. It is black C-Tech.
Ooh, very cool.
So I thought it looked kind of nice to reflect with the pins and everything, But really comfortable knife with apple seed edge that everybody loves, and this thing is badass. A2 tool steel. Everybody loves the Bark River, and I had a custom sheath made for it out of Kydex with a little carbon steel arrowhead, for
cool.
Whatever else may come along.
What is the pattern on the Kydex called?
Cryptech.
Cryptech. I think that looks really cool.
Yeah, I like the Cryptech, and then I got this one. Always easy access to. Bring this guy out. This one's a little bit larger.
Oh, I'm sorry, that was loud. That's sweet. That's the Michigan Bowie.
That is the Michigan Bowie.
I
See,
love
Bob
that.
knows his shit.
Wow.
I got the Shining Mountain right here. I love Bark River Bowies. I only have 2 of them, but that Michigan Bowie is
2 of them too. But and
that
this one is it's actually a custom. This one was custom made for me.
Damn.
So it's beautiful. And
we would expect nothing less from the knife box. I mean, it's all fancy schmancy stuff.
So what about it was custom, and how did that work out? Like, how did
I just ordered it in whatever configuration I wanted. I actually ordered this from Jason at DLT many, many years ago. And I said, I want this red jasper in the handle, but I want a black handle of micarta. And then, he had another one that was up for sale. Only had like the single one. Mm-hmm. I wanted more of a full guard on it, and then so back then when you used to buy them and order them yourself, they would say custom, and they'll give you the year. This one's a 2016.
That is
okay. So Detroit Spartan says Michigan. Like, why is it a Michigan Bowie?
It's like the pattern. That's what they call it.
Okay.
But there's probably a story behind it.
I'm sure that's why he picked up on.
Yeah, I think Bob will know more about those most likely because he's more of a historical blade guy.
Well, I don't in particular, but yeah, I imagine that's just what the Bowie knives looked like up there,
right
in Michigan.
Alex
I think it has
great at picking materials. Yeah,
sometimes
fantastic.
Sometimes
I don't think he's picked materials wrong in any of the custom knives. He likes to buy material, ship it to the makers, let them make the knife out of the materials that Alex picks at shows.
Dude, even Kaiser is biting off on his Stilo with their Rafir Noble line that they came out with.
That's coming back now.
They're like, oh, Alex.
Yes.
A Ron Best katana. Oh
don't
start now. Don't get me started on some other rabbit hole. I'm good.
I think I saw one of those on what's that huge crazy collector on Instagram?
Which one?
The one that Arno Freeze
Arno
or Freeze Arno. Yes, I think
you got
he has
him
one of those.
and Doc Salvo. Those two are just like.
I have to stop following Doc Salvo.
And Fit for 50, he collects some crazy stuff.
Yeah, and I talked to all 3 of those guys in the background, and it's like I'm not sure why they talk to me.
And
Yeah,
you just
they
had
need
that
to be
giant
beyond.
Vandermeulen Bladeworks on loan from 50 Shades of Slash, right?
I
Yeah.
did. I have
Wow,
the
that thing
double
is-
homicide, which I own now,
I use it for
and
work.
and then I've got the Homosaurus, which is like it's 12-ish inches overall. So yeah, that one was from 50 Shades. He sent that in with a 50 millimeter Breitling Avenger.
Wow.
Oh yeah, the one that you were
Big
wearing.
watch. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just filmed the video on the watch yesterday. So it comes up in a couple days. Cool ass watch. Too big for my wrist.
Mhm.
But 50 Shades, he's a big guy.
Yeah.
If you've ever met a big kind of Samoan guy, he's got like an 8.5-inch wrist or something crazy. So, and the Homosaurus doesn't really look out of place in his hand either. He's got these big bear paws. So
Yeah.
but yeah, he sent over some very cool, expensive custom stuff. So the videos are going to start dropping on that stuff this week.
So how do you ship that stuff, Dirk? I mean, it's not going overseas, but still that is tremendously expensive and difficult to replace stuff, or impossible to replace stuff. How do you send domestically that kind of stuff?
USPS, priority mail, in a
And just
standard
insure
priority mail
the
box.
crap out of it.
Nope, because they're not going to cover it anyway.
Oh, really? Wait.
Yep.
Tell me.
USPS does not cover.
I've spent a lot of money on insurance.
Nope. I like to call it self-insured, because you're not going to get your money back from the post office because they don't insure knives. It's not.
That's
something
true.
that they
I looked into this too. That is true.
So save your money on shipping. Whatever you would have spent on insurance, mentally put in the other account, so that when something goes missing, you have some money over there to pay the guy back that loaned you his stuff.
If it's super expensive, the only insurance you can do is take that insurance money and make it overnight instead.
Yeah, I do.
That's a good idea.
Sometimes I will ship, depending on what the cost is of the actual knife or knives or whatever. I will do either USPS, FedEx, UPS, whatever carrier, and just do overnight early delivery, so that it's basically in their hands less time.
Yeah.
For them to lose it.
Then we're like, guys, we got a package. We got to get it there. You know,
yeah,
that's the only way. It sucks.
That's the only way.
I mean, the knife, that watch alone came in the box with the other knives. The watch alone was $7,900.
Yeah. Wow.
So if that box goes missing, it might take me a little time to pay JP back. But that's just kind of that's the risk we take, as for me anyway, as YouTube guy who borrows most everything, because that's just my stick, I guess. Yeah, everybody's sending me stuff and I'm sending it back out, and I'm hoping to God it all works. So far,
hey man,
on wood, I have lost one package that was my fault because I didn't confirm that the guy hadn't moved, and he moved. He moved up from my apartment like in 3 weeks, whatever. I didn't double check. I sent it to the old apartment, told him it was there, gave him the shipping. He didn't say anything when I shipped, I send you the label. It went to the old apartment. The next day after it got delivered, he ran over there to see, and it was just gone. So I sent him I said, look, here's the 7 things that were in there. How does X amount of money sound? He goes, that's fair. And I PayPal'd him, and he has since loaned me a bunch of stuff, and it's fine. But you just have to be ready to do that.
Michael Zeba lost my copper S4 for like 3 weeks, and it mysteriously showed up later. That was scary, because the guy who did the copper on the handle passed away from COVID. So those are you can't fix them. You can't do anything. Like, they're not replaceable. So when he told me, like, where's your knife? I'm like, what do you mean? And then it was gone. I was like heartbroken, right? But that's what it is. And then, and then, Mike and I have known each other for years. And then, he's like, hey, if it doesn't come up, I'll just make you something. No problem. I'm like, oh, all right, whatever. And then, but then it showed up like 3 weeks later. And then, I'm glad to have it back in my possession now. That was scary. That was recent.
Conversation is making my stomach churn because I was putting my faith I put my faith in USPS anyway, sending stuff and receiving stuff. And I have to be honest, even when people were kind of trashing them a year and a half ago or so, I never had an issue. Like
never had a problem.
I think they're solid. But I was taking that attitude and that feeling about how solid they are and bringing it to their insurance, thinking there's no way on earth I could replace what's in this box. Good thing they have insurance. So now,
now a false sense of security.
Yeah.
The only thing you can do
Ignorance
is make it
bliss.
get there faster, and then make sure you wrap it well. That's the two best things you can do. It's tight. It's really wrapped tight. Like it's not easy to open.
Yeah.
And then it gets there faster. Yep.
And like Byron said, they put the insured value on the label. I didn't even realize that.
Yep.
So yeah, it's like saying steal me.
It's like saying steal me when they say it's $1,200 or $1,000 or $5,000 or whatever.
Yeah. Oh,
yep.
Good.
Yeah, there's no easy way, and nobody, from my understanding, in looking into shipping some stuff, nobody actually covers knives. FedEx, UPS, none of the carriers will actually insure and cover knives. Some will tell you flat out, nope, you can't even ship it.
This is a clear niche in the business world that needs to be filled.
Yes,
the knife courier, like the Pony Express. You're just flying back and forth all over the place. But then again, you have to deal with TSA.
Mm-hmm.
So you'd have to drive.
DHL's pretty good too. DHL's pretty reliable, especially like going across the countries, like from South Africa or Europe. That tends to be what I use. It's like
watches, I'm not sure if they're covered by insurance, Craig. I haven't really looked into that. Knives, I don't think there's any carriers that cover knives because they're weapons and they're not allowed to be shipped and they don't cover them. Watches, I have no idea.
Maybe watches. I wouldn't see why not.
Detroit says watches, yes, and he would know. Anything watch related, Detroit's going to know. And have
Detroit's the watchman.
Nav says, I guess if you ship through pirate ship, they will insure via third party.
Oh,
I don't know about that part of it, Nav, but I do know that pirate ship is considerably cheaper for the same exact label than UPS.
Huh.
So all of my UPS shipping, I do through pirate ship, and it's literally almost half the price for shipping.
Wow.
Literally half the price. Everything I ship to Professor EDC goes through pirate ship.
I remember you mentioning that before.
Right. And that's going down.
And I've heard that pirate ship is a little cheaper for post office stuff too, like USPS. But maybe it's like $1 or something. Like I don't know. I haven't really looked at that. UPS does cover watches, Dave says, and Dave's a watch guy. Nav says he's never had a problem with USPS either. Neither have I.
Yeah,
and Craig says somebody repeatedly doesn't cover what. Yeah, because somebody's an idiot.
A certain person has said. Why wouldn't they cover it? It's not like there's nothing controversial about watches. Like, there's no reason why they
businesses, right? There's businesses that ship like watches that cost like a boatload across the world.
Yeah, there doesn't seem like anything.
I wouldn't see why not, but yeah, knives probably not.
Aberdeen's. I hear if you ship via carrier pigeon, there's a 100% chance it'll be pooped on.
No doubt.
Pretty good. I think we needed that laugh after, bringing Bob to the point of almost, vomiting here with all of his things.
He's like, oh my God, I've been sketching it this whole time. I had no idea.
Seriously. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, now you know, but you're still going to ship something tomorrow. So it don't matter.
Yeah, but I'm not going to put any insurance on it. I don't need to.
Don't do insurance. Save your couple of bucks on every package, and just know that if it's lost, that you're just going to pay the guy.
Yeah, and if I want the rest of the carriers to know what's in it, I'll just write on there, value of $1,000. Please steal. I didn't wrap it well, and otherwise, otherwise they can just put it on the label for me.
No tape. Detroit just use the little sticky tab on top. No tape on the edges, and just let it flop.
Yeah. For shipping, really the key is pack it well and tape it better. You don't want it moving around inside. And a lot of times, like the knife boxes, that you get from like Benchmade or Spyderco, the knife moves around in the box.
Yes.
So you can pack the boxes into the box, shake the box, and the whole thing rattles because the knife inside. So then I got to open it back and I put a little bit of, bubble wrap or something in the actual box and then put those boxes into.
Like a shock absorber.
Kind of. And then you just tape the heck out of it. And
and hope it makes it.
I've done that a couple of times where I've, I'm so proud of this awesome packing job. And I lift it up and it's like, oh, damn, inside the box. Yeah. And then you got to cut the whole thing open. Yeah. Wrap it up.
Yeah. So that's your shipping tip for the day, folks.
Yep.
Yeah. Sorry to bring you down there, Bob. But
it's all right. We'll all recover.
It's the way of the shipping world. I wish there was a better way because, it makes me nervous. It makes me nervous to put my knives on a plane, too. Are they going to get lost on the plane? Are they going to get stolen from my bag? So I have a thing I do with that, too. I, put them in my shoes and I put a zip tie on my, bag. So at least when I get it off of the conveyor, if the zip ties are cut, I know instantly that it was open. Yeah. And they're allowed to open your bags for screening and stuff like that. That's okay. But I know right then that it's been open. I don't have to wait to get to my room and open it and see a little, paper. I could check it right then and there.
I think NAF has a really good suggestion.
This is pretty good. Just spray foam the inside of the box. Problem solved.
Hey, man. Problem solved.
It's funny that NAF says that because I had 2 of his knives here. I got to ship back to him.
With spray foam.
Oh,
and there is a company down the street that does spray foaming and stuff. So
NAF introduced me to one of my
when they come back. NAF.
He introduced me to one of my favorite EDCs that I know he moved on from, but he thought it was an American-made knife at first, and it has all the hallmarks. And I still love the knife, but it's made by Best Tech. I shouldn't say, but I love Best Tech knives, but I bought it under the impression that it was American because I went to their website. It's Resco Instruments. They make cool watches.
Oh,
yeah. If anybody has one of their watches, I really want to check out their watches. I've checked out a couple of their knives, but their watches seem ridiculously expensive for what they are. But if somebody has one, please reach out to me because I would love to check one out.
Did you say they seem inventive?
They seem expensive.
Oh, expensive.
It's like an SKX style watch, but they're like $2,500, and I'm not sure why. So if somebody has one, let me know. I want to check it out.
I think there's a bit of mystique around the brand because when I went to check out the knife, it was very
packing peanuts.
Very little information, and when it showed up, it was like wrapped in a paper towel, But it's a great knife, and it's like, just a couple of old frogmen, And I thought, oh, some guy like in his North Carolina basement, making this knife, and it ends up Best Tech made it, and it's so awesome. Excuse the French, but
I think they make some that are custom made too, or are they all made by Best Tech? That I'm not 100% sure.
This I'm not sure, but I do know that now they have the bolster lock. I just love the knife. It's a great design. It's just a 4-inch. I liked
the one that I had in for a bit. It wasn't the same model, I don't think, as yours. Maybe it was, but I liked it. That's why I want to check out their watches.
I had a keen interest in that company too. Like it was kind of appealing looking.
I think NAF nailed the price on the watches.
Yeah.
Operator.
Yeah, I mean, they do claim on their website and stuff that they were like the original Navy SEAL watch, and they have like a whole spiel of it was tested by this team and that group for this time and whatever. Like, okay, just
but coming from a military background, I can tell you there's tons of people try to make military people test shit all the time. It doesn't mean it's good. It's just you get random stuff. And even at the PX, like they bring different brands that they revolve around that we are supposed to, even get and buy and use and stuff. Yeah, you get a lot of stuff. It's not always good because it's given to the military guys,
Right.
Yeah, I've broken lots of stuff. I promise.
I think it's really interesting how Navy SEALs seem to really love Winkler knives. And Winkler knives are inspired by, born of this sort of what's it called? Reenactment, historical reenactment. Daniel Winkler did a lot of historical reenactment in his younger life, and that's where the knives came from, and his need to make them. And so you got these Navy SEALs who are like the most trained and have probably the most, I'm guessing, the most expensive and advanced, I'm not going to call them toys, tools at their behest to do their job. And yet they gravitate towards this very old school American design with the wooden handles and everything of the Winkler tomahawks and knives. I think that's cool as hell.
Yep.
And then like they give the Army beret, the Green Berets, the was it Chris Reeve knife, right?
Yep.
I just had one of those in recently.
That's
and
cool
the guy who sent that in has 3 of them.
Whoa.
I'm like, Jesus, because there's a civilian version, there's a Green Beret version, and things like that. But they're like a 3-year waiting list or something, I think, on the Chris Reeve website. You could order it, it's like $500 or $700, but it's like a 3 to 5 year waiting list or something. I thought it was very cool. I thought it was an awesome knife. I wanted to go chop down my fence in the backyard with it, but it wasn't mine, so I decided not to. But yeah,
operator.
That's a Bill Harsey design. I think that's so. I love his stuff, man. Any Bill Harsey, even Gerber. He's designed a Gerber. Bill Harsey has. Even that's beautiful.
Yeah, crazy stuff.
Absolutely.
Well, I think we were kind of winding down here. So, Bob.
Yes,
thank
sir.
You.
Oh, dude, my pleasure. Thank you for having me on. Not only fun to hang out and talk with you guys, but great to see you both. I haven't spoken or seen either of you like in person or directly in quite some time. So it's very cool.
I was really excited to have you, and because you're like family, you know, like me and you go way back, Bob.
Way back.
And you kind of like sprouted a lot of my inspiration and got me exposed. Like your show is amazing. I mean, this guy like interviews everybody in the knife world. I mean, you literally have like an encyclopedia of whoever you want to know about. You know, you just go to the Knife Junkie podcast and you can literally hear a fun conversation, a very knowledgeable, very like pulls the good information out of them too.
Way more informative than our show.
Like processes, how do you do this, how long you've been doing this, and fun questions. And of course, my favorite segment where he haven't heard you do it in a while, but you know, your top 5 survival island knife and your questions.
Oh yeah, I
I
do the speed round only with reviewers, and I don't ask knife makers that stuff. That would put them on the spot too much.
Not really though. A lot of them are knife collectors too, you know.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. Thank you for those kind words. It's so cool. That's how I met both of you guys. Yep. And the cool thing is that the list is always growing. There's never an exhaust. You know, I remember my dad saying, "Really, you're going to start? Like, aren't you going to run out?" And I'm like, "No," because people love this. People every day, a new person gets into. I love all these enthusiast designed and OEM'd knives are pretty amazing. All of our, you know, a lot of our friends are coming out with knives that they've designed and had produced, and I think that's exciting. You know, it's a different world.
Yep, absolutely. And it's fun to watch it grow too. So, but you've been a big part of it, Bob, and we really appreciate everything you do, because from the town hall meetings and everything else, you bring a lot of people together, and that's what I always loved about you. I can't remember what number I probably started following you pretty on early in the podcast. And man, I'm a huge fan as always, and I recommend everybody go check out Bob. You're doing yourself a disservice if you don't. And then, you know, it's just the truth. So we really appreciate you taking the time with us.
Damn, Alex and Dirk, thank you so much. I appreciate it from the bottom of my heart.
And all the viewers, thank you very much. And anybody that's watching it after the fact, we appreciate that as well. Have a great night, everyone. And we appreciate your time.